Hello everyone, Scott Farida here, and today we are delving into the question, is Karen McDonald destroying or otherwise hiding public records that are, shall we say, not flattering towards her and her administration? So how did this come up? What's the brief summary here? So essentially this all stems from a request for a public record, more specifically an exit interview, that Karen's team is claiming doesn't exist. So how did this all come about? Well, essentially, heard earlier this year that a former colleague at the prosecutor's office decided to retire. This is someone who had been there for a very long time through multiple administrations, well respected, and I had heard that this individual was asked to do an exit interview, and I also heard that it was not very flattering. So it sort of piqued my interest, right? You have a person who's there for such a long time, so many administrations, so many different roles in the office, they probably have a good sense of things. So put that request in under the Freedom of Information Act. As per usual, Karen McDonald and her team were extremely untimely in responding, but eventually they did. So let me read you in operative part what the response was. Your request is denied. The record does not exist. After conducting a thorough search, no record could be found that was responsive to your request. Now here's where it gets good. At some point, a record may have existed. However, after conducting an extensive independent search by Oakland County Information Technology and also internally at the prosecutor's office, no record could be found. Moreover, the type of record you requested would have been exempt from FOIA under MCL 15.2431A, privacy, and MCL 15.2431S, personnel records, if it did exist. So a few just interesting things right there. The qualifying language seemed very, shall we say, specific, right? To use the language saying it may have existed and then to go on and on about exemption seems to be to try to qualify their response and not outright say, oh no, never. Probably to in some way shield themselves from future litigation. You know, as many of you know, we currently have cases going on for other public records that Karen McDonald is refusing to produce. And I would also note that those exemptions don't apply, even though they just kind of threw them in there at the end anyway. So at this point, you're probably asking yourself, all right, Scott, you've told me all this information, all these details. How do you know that there is in fact an exit interview? How do you know it was in writing, it was sent to the prosecutor's office, etc., etc.? Well, it's pretty easy. I have it. You know, it's very funny that Karen's team said may have existed. You know, didn't even bother to admit that it existed. Now, I can't say for certain why, but if they had admitted it, would certainly then raise a few other questions as to, all right, well, how is it lost? Or why was it deleted? Why is it not put in the employee's personnel file, et cetera, et cetera? And this, in fact, is very scathing. I'm probably going to put a link in, or at least something in the description so you can read this for yourself. But I want to go over one small paragraph in the last section, and it is extremely unfortunate that this division chief, under this administration, has been allowed to decimate the Family Support Division, not only for the OCPO staff members who continue to work in such a toxic environment, but more importantly, for the children and families of Oakland County who no longer receive timely or efficient services from Oakland County through this division. So again, bears the question, why are they claiming this doesn't exist, or why did they get rid of it? You know, this isn't the first time that Karen McDonald and her team have been, shall we say, suspect regarding public records. You know, in fact, in one of the FOIA cases going on, we had oral arguments. They claimed that there was nothing responsive to a request for statistics regarding pleas. You know, I'd heard from numerous members of law enforcement that the office consistently is pleading down cases, oftentimes without input from the officer in charge on the case, so I wanted to see those figures. Now, despite the fact they're claiming no responsive records, I quite literally screen shared during the proceedings a statistical form that APAs had to fill out. I had to fill it out back in the office. You know, the best you could hope for, if they're not just outright lying, is trying to play some sort of semantical game. But I didn't request any big summary or compilation. I asked for any statistics. If they provided all of those reports, I could have compiled them. So again, there's a very serious question as to why is Karen McDonald seemingly playing these games, and are there documents that are simply being hidden away or otherwise eliminated because they're inconvenient? And there's a serious question here on these. Hopefully, as the proceedings go on in the other cases, or as more information becomes available, we'll be able to get a more definitive answer. If any of you have questions, put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. And if you have any questions regarding this matter specifically for Karen, reach out. Reach out to the prosecutor's office. Ask the question. Ask what you want to know regarding these documents. So thank you very much for listening, and until next time, I'm Scott Farida, and I appreciate you.